KNTKFM.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Copple Chevrolet GMC, and they're having the biggest hail sale they've ever had. A huge opportunity is at your front door right now. Some of these cars we're fixing, some we're not, and some it's totally up to you. New Sierra starting at $15,000 off list. New Canyons at $8,500 off list. New body styles on the Acadias, $3,000 off list. You need to hurry as there's going to be a lot of people heading to Louisville. Check us out at copplecars.com. Stock numbers G121492, G1877747, and G1965599.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to smokinggunjerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Coming at you live from the 93.7 The Ticket studio, from the heart of Lincoln, America. Expanding awareness about the TeamMates program and the ever-growing need for mentors. This is TeamMates Timeout with TeamMates CEO Des Moines Adams and Marketing and Communications Manager Ashton Honor.
What up? What up? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to TeamMates Timeout with DeMo and Ash on 93.7 The Ticket. You're like, what the heck? Usually DeMo brings us in, but guess what? DeMo is out today, so you get Ash and my other special guest. It's going to be Ash and Ash tonight, the A team, as we like to say. Welcome. First of all, it's been a hot minute since I was out last week at a networking event, so you had DeMo and two guests, and now I get to have one of my favorite teammates, my teammate's teammate with me tonight. Welcome, our TeamMates Regional Manager, Ashley Denton.
Thank you, Ashton.
Yes, we're so excited. So a little bit about Ashley for our listeners. Ashley is a former school counselor. She was our Iowa Regional Coordinator, and then she became our TeamMates Regional Manager, which you've been for 3 years, correct?
I've been Regional Manager for a year.
For a year, I'm sorry, but with TeamMates for 3 years.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. So obviously you spent a lot of time in schools, in that education field, counseling field. What inspired you to get involved in the education field?
Yeah, so I do have an interesting journey. I actually have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. So working with kids was never on my radar.
Yeah.
So, you know, as a kid, I wanted to be a lawyer. I went to college. Criminal justice was my degree. I worked at a daycare in college. I didn't realize I liked kids until I worked at a daycare. And I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And from there, I had to decide, what am I going to do with this degree?
Mm-hmm.
And I landed a job in 2007, 2008 in a school. And I spent 15 years there.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And then, so when you were in the school you were the school counselor, correct?
Correct.
So, and what age group did you work with?
So I was in the elementary, so pre-K through 5.
Okay. On some of our last fall, when I had started, I road tripped with Ashley to some of our regional meetings, which we'll talk about later in the show and kind of what that entails. But it was fascinating to hear like all your experiences like in the school system, especially working with those kids. And being a counselor is hard, especially with those elementary kids. And how do you communicate with them when they're going through certain, maybe some sad times in their life and maybe they don't understand what's going on. So it was fascinating to hear all of your background and experience with that, because I think that speaks volumes of who you are as a person when people, those of us who know you really well. And I'm like, oh, so that's why you're just one of the best, kindest humans. So why did you get involved with Teammates?
So when I was hired, I worked in Missouri Valley, Iowa as the school counselor. And when I joined, Teammates was just starting. And so that was part of my, my job there is you're getting hired and you're also going to be the program coordinator.
Okay.
And so I got to build it. We were in the early stages. We'd submitted the RFP. And from there, we had to figure out how to run this program. And so I luckily was ground up. We learned a lot. You make a lot of mistakes because you just don't know.
Right.
At the time we started matching in 4th grade and 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
And we again learned a lot, matching mentors with 8th grade girls, for example. There's challenges around that.
Oh, man.
So
that's something I'm nervous about with my mentee this year, where she's going into my mentee's going into 6th grade. So I'm like, we're hitting the middle school years. And I was like, all right, we just got to get through those 3 years and then we're on to high school. But given that you've been a part of a local chapter from the ground up, kind of talk about what that experience is like and what the process to become a Teammates chapter.
Sure. For one, it was incredible. You talk to a lot of program coordinators about why do you do this work? And it's the matches. When they truly get to see that mentor and that mentee for the first time, all of the work melts away.
Right.
And it's really about that connection. And so for me, getting to match adults with students and seeing the success in that, and then serving as a mentor too, that was the most important thing that I could have done starting a new chapter.
Right.
Is I started mentoring, and my first mentee, she's an incredible adult now.
Yeah.
But I learned more from her than I could have ever taught her.
Yep.
And so from that chapter perspective, number one, it's got to be a good fit. Do you have mentors in your community who can step up and serve? Mentors are not getting paid.
Right.
They're showing up just because they want to see the impact. They want to help students, be successful. So we really look at, is this a good fit, both from the Teammates perspective and the school district? And then there is a lot of work that goes into it. We never want to go to a new school district and say, this is an easy program.
Right.
Here's everything you need. It takes time, it takes energy, and it needs passion. That's the thing that we have to make sure we're clear about is Teammates could be in every school district across the country, but you have to have a passion for it.
Yes.
And so that's vital. And so when we think about starting new chapters, for example, there is a vetting process. There's lots of conversations about, do you have a board? Who could serve on your nonprofit board? So each Teammates chapter is its own entity. It's its own 501c3.
Yeah.
And that board is vital because it bridges the gap between the school and the community.
And shout out to you and our director of operations, Vicki Howick, who Vicki gets the pleasure of working the legal side of bringing those chapters to fruition. That is one thing I am thankful that I don't have to dabble in a lot. I always say as marketing, we get to do all the fun stuff, but it's important not only as staff, but as just mentors, just have a general education of the chapters and the process of becoming. Like, yes, everybody understands what it's like. DeMo and I have constantly, in every show, we talk about how you become a mentor. Well, do you know how chapters come to fruition? And one of the things we're going to talk about today is we just added our 6th state back in May, and that's very exciting. So we are currently in Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, Wyoming, South Dakota, and Missouri was the new one. So we're going to dive in a little bit more about that. But, I just said... we have this outline. DeMo's going to be laughing right now because he said we should totally freestyle this. Let's talk a little bit more about your experience. Kind of just dive into like what a regional coordinator is.
So we kind of like to say that the regional coordinators are boots on the ground. Their sole purpose is to support those chapters with whatever they need. it is an interesting position. It's hybrid essentially. So
Yes.
there is time where they're at home. They're answering emails, phone calls, texts from program coordinators, board members, but then they get to be out in the field. They get to go visit chapters. They get to meet superintendents. And that's something that we are very passionate about at Teammates because we're partners in our schools. And so we are so appreciative of all of the school districts who partner with us because there's a lot of trust that goes into that they trust us to do what we say we're going to do and make sure that all of their students are safe. So all the processes that we have in place, just ensures safety of the students.
And that's one of the things. So right now, Teammates is right in the middle of a strategic plan, and Ashley and I are on one of the strategic initiatives, and we actually shout out to our GAIN team because we had a great collaboration day today. And that's something that came up in the conversation was, how do we change our messaging when we're talking in marketing materials, specifically recruitment materials, when we're talking to superintendents, when we're talking to principals, when those RCs are out in the field, like what messaging are we conveying? What is the brand voice? Like, are we all on consistent level? So, and you brought up the point of safety, because what is what is their job? Like, you manage the budget. Is this program something that our school, our community wants to associate ourselves with? And so that was and one of our regional coordinators who we'll talk about, John Fow, who's our Kansas and Missouri regional coordinator. Like, he used to be a former superintendent, principal, teacher, and coach. So it was, and you heard me today ask him that question, like, John, like, fill us in on, put your superintendent hat back on and tell us like what exactly you were listening to or what you would want to know about a program coming in. Because to the point, schools and school districts do not just let anybody come into the school, let alone different programs. So the fact that Teammates has been around for 34 years, we have that longevity, we have that name recognition, and with safety being our top core value, I think that's kind of a no-brainer for those schools and those school districts. And also, we're the largest school-based mentoring program in the nation. And so that goes back to safety because our mentors and mentees can only meet in the school. Yeah.
And that's just a huge selling point in general. And we train mentors that our boundaries are just as much to protect them as to protect the students because they live and work in our communities. And at the end of the day, we have to protect them too because, their families live there and their reputation matters.
Yes. No, that is such a great point. Let's kind of dive in a little bit, and we'll hit this hard in segment 2 here coming up. But like we just talked about, we just expanded into our 6th state. Talk about our current regional structure.
Sure. So we have regional coordinators across our 6 states. And that was really designed to make sure that we provide quality support.
Right.
There's been times throughout Teammates history where their regional coordinators had a lot of chapters.
Yeah.
And really looking at what's feasible. How do we provide really intentional support? You can't do that with 60, 80 chapters under you. And so they really looked at, let's break the organization up into regions, and our regional coordinators have a certain amount of chapters. When we really look at what's feasible, 30 is kind of our max.
Yeah.
What's realistic to go out to 30 chapters, 30 school districts. And so they range from, we have 7, 8 to 29 in regions, and it just depends on geography.
And tell us which, obviously Nebraska is the largest. It's a state with the biggest number of chapters with 139. Which part of the state is our big focus area right now?
Sure. We talk a lot about the Omaha Metro just because of sheer numbers. And so as we talk about gaining mentors, gaining matches, we can see the biggest growth there just because of sheer size. And we have very large school districts in the Omaha Metro.
Yes. And then so we have Nebraska regional coordinators, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 of them all spread out across the state of Nebraska, and to kind of talk about how we broke up the state of Nebraska.
Yeah. So the regions are really broken down into, quadrants, you could say. And so a little bit is where those regional coordinators live.
Yep.
So the nice thing is the regional coordinators do have to live in that region.
Right.
Because they are traveling. We try to keep the distance pretty close, but we have some regional coordinators who are driving 3+ hours
Yeah.
to some of our chapters.
Shout out to Jen in Western Nebraska.
Absolutely. They have a lot of windshield time and they love that.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't change that. That's just the nature of Nebraska, right? And then we have a lot of chapters up and down the interstate. And so that's a little bit easier.
Right.
Yeah. So they are definitely spread out. And it's amazing when we look at the map.
Yeah.
There's always room to grow.
Yeah.
And so, we've had a lot of conversations about that what does true growth look like?
Right. And that's to your point, that's kind of what we're talking about right now in that strategic plan. Like, what does that look like? Now, do you have any current regional coordinator positions open?
I do.
All right. Let's tell the viewers about it.
So our Southern Nebraska friends, if you're looking for an amazing experience, something that's going to change your life, we do have a little bit of a shift in our Southern region, and we currently have a position open.
Perfect. So what is that for somebody who's maybe hears that and have always wanted to get involved with teammates in some capacity? Maybe that's not a mentor, but they've always wanted to maybe work for the organization. What do those regional coordinator duties entail?
Sure. A little bit of everything, but really one of their main focuses is stewardship. Stewardship, support, answering questions. And so, like we talked about, on the days where they're home, they're troubleshooting, they're responding to emails, phone calls, texts. But when they're out in the field, they're training, they're supporting, they're helping boards and chapters grow. We talk a lot about data at TeamMates. And so another piece of their role is they're meeting with each board. We have what's called a success and growth plan. So essentially, we're just looking at data, real-time data. Here's where you're at.
Right.
Where do we want to go? Let's set a vision. Let's set some goals. And then they look at the chapter dashboards. So our impact and evaluation coordinator, Tori, does an incredible job with all of our data.
God bless Tori Murphy.
She is incredible. And she creates these beautiful dashboards with all the data points. And so we are able to go out to communities and say, here's where you're at. And there's nothing right or wrong about anything. We just want to help them grow and get where they're at to serve more students at the end of the day, to make matches.
One thing I so greatly appreciate about your regional coordinator team, like those folks they are in the field. Like they are direct contact with those program coordinators. So for example, when marketing's tasked with, and especially once we get through our strat plan, which like I said, today was just incredible. And it makes me even more excited about the direction that we're taking this organization in regards to branding, recruitment, and just general teammates awareness. What I appreciate most about your team is because they are in the field and have direct contact with those program coordinators and building coordinators. It helps us. It's just a great tool for us internally at the national office to be like, I need to know what tools are effective for them. Like, for example, when we created, shout out to Kaylee Jackson, our marketing specialist, when we created the templates toolkit, like PCs, what tools can we provide you, whether that be like a program flyer or a social media post with a graphic so all they have to do is plug and chug. Like that's thanks to your RCs talking to all those program coordinators and hearing firsthand what their needs are.
And they are. And we joke sometimes they have to know a little bit about everything.
Yeah.
They truly have to have a full understanding of the organization because they are going to be asked first. So any initiative, anything that comes up, typically how our structure is set up is program coordinators will reach out to their regional coordinator first.
Yep.
And then the questions can get vetted from there. But that process works really well. We work really hard to make sure that the chapters within each region feel supported. They feel the love because their work is so important. We can't do our job without our program coordinators.
Exactly. Talk about our annual conference coming up. I'm excited because this is the first annual conference that I get to attend as given my first year on staff. But talk about just kind of the hype around the annual conference.
We like to say annual conference is the TeamMates Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And kind of, Des Moines loves that as well, but we get to have all of our people in the same place at the same time. That doesn't happen often, once a year, where we can have 187 program leaders and board members in one place.
Right.
And, as a former program coordinator, that was the point of year where it reset me for the school year.
Yeah.
Okay. It's in July. I know that I have to go back on contract and
Yep.
start serving students again.
Yeah.
And so when people can come to the TeamMates conference, they're re-energized, they're given hope again.
Yeah.
It's just this incredible opportunity. And unless you can experience it, you can't even really describe it. But
Right.
there's so much love and energy in this space because everyone's there because we care about students.
That's the key. What do we do? What drives us to do what we do? And it's the students. And talk a little bit about, because you and I are both on the annual conference planning committee. So we're like in the thick of this right now. And talk about how each staff member essentially plays a role, whether that be presenting. I know we're set up like we're in the thick of planning right now, but talk about the importance of those regional coordinators are there. And a bunch of us got to go to the National Mentoring Summit in DC this past January and talk a little bit about some of the sessions that your regional coordinators found valuable that they're actually going to be teaching those PCs in a month from today.
Yeah. So one huge aspect of attending national conference was elements of effective practice.
Right.
So we do align ourselves with the elements of effective practice, which come from Mentor National.
Yes.
We like to joke we don't just make up rules and
Right.
policies for no reason, right? There is a purpose to what we do because at the end of the day, we have to keep kids safe.
Right.
And so the elements of effective practice has a new version out. And we're going to talk about that at conference, but we've also brought in some other things, engagement opportunities. There were a lot of amazing sessions in DC.
Yeah.
And so the RCs are now able to bring that back and provide some of that at conference. And one big thing is we are able, thanks to our incredible donors, to provide this conference for free.
Yeah.
So when you think about a conference at this caliber,
That's unheard of.
it's unheard of. And so for us to be able to gift this to our chapters is really invaluable.
And talk about how we went from 3 days to 2 days to just kind of make, to your point, make it more impactful. But again, we want to make sure we're capitalizing on the time that we have with them.
Absolutely. Because their time is valuable and many of them are off contract. So
Right.
if they're educators and they have the summers off, they're choosing to come spend their time with us in July, in the heat of vacation season, just because they care about teammates.
And we're going to remind those listeners, this conference is just not for anyone. It's just strictly for our program coordinators and the board members. Again, it's kind of like their professional development for teammates in a way. We are supplying them with the tools to be successful for that upcoming school year. I'm super excited. I get to do 2 sessions. Ashley, I know you're presenting as well, but again, it's just our opportunity, one, to say thank you for their time. Remember, a lot of these folks are volunteers. And so that speaks volumes to me because that just proves how much people want to be associated with teammates and this brand and who we are as an organization.
Yeah. So I know you're presenting, but what are you most looking forward to? Because this is your first experience.
It is. I am most looking forward to actually meeting all of the program coordinators because, I send the weekly huddle emails, and sometimes you get communication back. But in my first year, I want to be meeting all the people. So you and I was we were like road trip buddies last fall, and we're going to be road trip buddies again this fall, going to all the different regional the regional meetings. But I'm most excited about meeting those folks and just picking their brains. Yes, it's great that those RCs do that for us, but to hear it in person, especially at the sessions that we're doing, give me all the feedback. Are the tools that we're supplying you with, are those beneficial to you? Are those helpful? And if they're not, let's monitor and adjust and let's pivot to make it more successful for you.
And that's what I love about you this year. Learning curve,
Yeah.
right? This is your first year in this
Yeah.
role, and for you to attend all the regional meetings
Yeah.
and soak it all in. And you can go into the next year in a very different place than you were a year ago.
Well, you and I laughed at the last regional meeting that we went to. Well, not Iowa, but Kansas, because by that point we'd been up to, we were up to 5 meetings at that point. And it was so different, the narrative that I've changed preparing, because you brought this a great point. You're like, hey, we learned from the last regional meeting, we know this question is going to come up. So why don't let's go in it at this light, which I so appreciate, because here I'm coming in. I'm not the brand police, which PCs, if you're listening, that's a negative connotation. I'm not going to be the brand police, but I'm going to educate you as to why we do some things the way that we do when it comes to marketing and brand awareness. And so I laugh because we talk about the t-shirts, and that was a huge deal with a lot of our chapters this year was the t-shirts, and we changed the tagline, which that was also a huge change. The Teammates tagline used to be there, and then we changed it. That's one of the first things I did was change it to kind of a line that Coach Osborne uses: join the team, be a mentor. And so with a lot of those chapters, it was the education of, oh, hey, like we just did a huge rebrand. Like, it's okay. You have essentially a year to start that transition of your new logos that you have, start phasing out certain things and just educating them and letting them know it's okay. Like, breathe. We're going to be fine. So I'm excited.
Yes.
Oh, Austin, that first session flew, that first segment. Well,
it did. Oh, Demo's on.
Oh!
He's on Facebook. Demo says, good job, Ash and Ash. I concur.
Oh, gosh. Okay, well, don't go away. We're coming right back. I am joined by Teammates Regional Manager Ashley Denton. In segment 2 here, we are going to dive in more to talk more about your awesome regional coordinator team and just kind of like our different chapters and educate our listeners on how many that is. So don't go away. You're listening to Teammates Timeout on 93.7 The Ticket with Demo and Ash.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Schweizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Schweizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at schweizo.com. That's SCHWISOW.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, and they're having the biggest hail sale they've ever had. A huge opportunity is at your front door right now. Some of these cars we're fixing, some we're not, and some it's totally up to you. New Sierra starting at $15,000 off list. New Canyons at $8,500 off list. New body styles on the Acadias, $3,000 off list. You need to hurry as there's going to be a lot of people heading to Louisville. Check us out at cobblecars.com. Stock numbers G121492, G187747, and G196599.
Be at the 32nd Annual Testicle Festival for some fun, rain or shine. Free entry for military. It's at Round the Bend Steakhouse in Ashland, June 14th from 11 to 10. Take I-80 exit 426, roundthebendsteakhouse.com.
Attention all Wings fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays, enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Country music star Rodney Atkins will be performing at the Icebox on Friday, June 20th. Tickets start at $30 and doors open at 7 p.m. The capacity is only 3,000, so don't wait. Buy your tickets at LincolnStars.com today before it sells out.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine with light winds. It'll be warm with an afternoon high near 91. Tonight, mainly clear skies with a light breeze, a low around 66. And tomorrow, we'll see mainly sunny skies. It'll be breezy and hot with an afternoon high near 95. I'm meteorologist Kyle Fleckner for 92.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to smokinggunjerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
Back to Teammates Timeout with DeMo and Ash on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Teammates Timeout with DeMo and Ash on 93.7 The Ticket. I am joined tonight by Teammates Regional Manager Ashley Denton. DeMo's out tonight, so I'm super excited. It's Ash and Ash tonight, the A team. So before we went to break, kind of our whole theme today is talking about our Teammates states. We formerly used to call them our expansion states because obviously Teammates originated in the state of Nebraska, but then we have expanded to a total of 6 states. So tonight's theme is talking about those Teammates states. So in this next segment, I want to dive into, tell us more about the structure of how those states come to be through chapters. And then let's hype up our awesome regional coordinators, because like we just said in that last segment, they're the ones in the field talking to all those program coordinators. So let's just dive right in. And Ash, take it any way you want to go.
Absolutely. So huge shout out to my team. They deal with me on a daily basis. You know, we are an interesting group because we're all remote. And so our meetings are virtual.
Mm-hmm.
We get to see each other maybe quarterly.
Yeah.
And so we do try to be very intentional about coming in together, but we're coming from 6 different directions.
Right.
And some of us have to travel.
Yes.
And, you know, Christina flies in from South Dakota. So this team is incredible. You know, we talk a lot about employees being leaders. The regional coordinators are truly that.
Right.
I don't hold their hand. They're out in states that I am, you know, not connected to. And so there's a lot of trust that goes into the work that they do. And they're so exceptional. So for all of you, if any of you are listening,
we know John is. He's on his way back to Kansas right now.
I hope they all know how much they're appreciated. And, you know, there has been some shifts in their work over the last couple of years. We've tried to start using data in a different way to drive the work. And so even for our program coordinators, they're seeing a different side of the work. Regional coordinators are sending monthly and bi-monthly reports on active unmatched mentors and mentors in the pipeline, and just trying to keep it in front of them, because at the end of the day, our only purpose here is to make matches.
And we talked about that a lot today, thanks to Vicky today in our strat plan meeting, of just kind of reminding us and bringing that back to the forefront, like why we're here. At the end of the day, we have to make matches.
We do. Yeah. And so the regional coordinators are doing that. You know, right now we're in data collection season. So we collect data twice a year. It's difficult. Many of our program coordinators, like we've talked about, are on summer break. They're off contract. But that data is so important to the work we do, because the dashboards that we give them, we can't build dashboards without data.
Talk a little bit about, and I know this is a newer initiative, the success and growth plans.
Yeah. So when we created this tool, we've always assessed chapters. That has happened forever.
Right.
This tool has just shifted a little bit and really looked at, how do we assess the health? There are some legal compliance pieces. So as a 501c3, they do have to be in legal compliance.
Right.
They have to meet as a board. They have to have board minutes. They have to have board members who aren't termed out. You know, and if any board members are listening, these difficult conversations are being had right now that, gosh, you've been on this board for 10, 12, 15 years. It's time.
Right.
You know, and we've spent a lot of time. We've talked to our legal team of, how do we do this and do it well? Because we value all of our volunteers. But at the end of the day, we've got to be in compliance. And so there's a part of the success and growth plan that just gets at compliance legally. And then we look at the accounting side. So chapters do have to report monthly on their bank account activity. we don't care what they spend their money on, but we do have to report that.
Right.
TeamMates is audited just like every
Yes.
other organization. And so our structure is so unique that 187 chapters have to send in reports to our accounting team, and they set budgets annually.
Yeah.
And then there's another piece too with that all chapters are covered under our insurance. And so if they're doing events outside the one-to-one mentoring, they have to be covered under insurance.
Right.
Just for liability. And so there's a lot of things that go into this.
Yeah.
And so that success and growth plan looks at some of that, but really it looks at where are your matches at? How can we grow? And then we look at their vision statement. So we're still finding that some chapters have vision statements pre-COVID. So their numbers are reflecting things that just are unrealistic,
right?
Because of the nature of the work right now. And so we're trying really hard to update vision statements, set realistic goals, knowing that at the end of the day, we just want them to make their matches.
And talk about how like your regional coordinators are like meeting with those school boards and helping them with this process. It's not like we're throwing it at them and saying, here, figure this out. Like, you and your coordinators do such a good job about educating the importance of why we need this. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we want each chapter to be successful because we have had to close chapters. And at the same point, we just added a chapter too. So, or multiple, 3 chapters.
Several chapters this year. Yes. Yeah. So the regional coordinators do go out there. One of their expectations is to attend a board meeting every year. And sometimes that doesn't happen just based on the nature of the chapter, if there are things going on, but they try to go out, be intentional about presenting the dashboard. So all the data, talking about the success and growth plan, and really helping chapters strategize on where are we going and how can we get there?
Because at the end of the day, who's in those board meetings at those schools? The superintendents, the principals, to my knowledge, sometimes the activities and athletic directors are in there as well, but then also the board. So kind of like what we talked about today, thanks to John's viewpoint of what information do each of those respective groups want to know, which was great to hear from a marketing perspective today, because I'm like, oh, okay, good point, John. So like, does the marketing team need to make a specific marketing rat card tailored just to superintendents or to principals? And so that perspective was very valuable, but that's also why the piece that Tori Murphy, we rely so heavy on, is that data, because we have the numbers to back up why we've been so successful the last 34 years. Talk about, we mentioned this in the first segment, regional meetings. What are those? Why do we have them? What does it entail?
So we have annual conference, like we talked about. This regional meeting is another touch point. So annual conference, everybody comes together at the same place. Now, throughout the year, usually in the fall. So we're actually starting in September and they go through December. So each region has a regional meeting. So it's local to them. The regional coordinator really facilitates it. They organize it. They're doing it from start to finish. And then program coordinators, board members get to come and attend. And we've had to build some consistency around it. So at least all of the regions are doing similar things, but each regional coordinator leads differently. And so we want to honor that too. That, some really want to do a rich team building and others, nope, let's get to business and figure out what we need to talk about. And that's okay too. And it's truly amazing to get to watch your people lead, especially managing remote employees. And so it's an opportunity for me to see the magic in action. And they do such an incredible job, and they all truly do it in such a different way.
And that was one of my most favorite things that I got to do in the fall, was because you and I became like road trip buddies. Like, I was so bummed that I missed out on the Wyoming meeting because that was literally the week I started. But then right as September, I really started going to more of those meetings. And to your point of, it was fun to see how each one of them lead differently and how different each of their chapters as well. And just the opportunity to meet with those PCs. Like, I'm most excited about that going into this next year, because I'm like, okay, year one, check it off, got that under your belt. Because what I educated those chapters on this year, we're not going to be talking about brand standards. We're going to be talking about the new strategic plan initiatives through GAIN, and what does the brand story look like? What does the brand voice look like? What does our company line look like? So heads up for all listening. Those are some little tidbits coming down from the GAIN team, but that was one of my most favorite things to experience.
And what would you love to learn more about from them. So when you think about having the opportunity to really be in the space with people who are doing the work, what are you hoping they can provide you with?
I just want to know what they need, because our jobs are to make their jobs simple. Because again, these are volunteers. Like, what can we do to make your job easier? Like, to your point, I don't want to have to hold your hand through everything, but I want to give you the tools to be successful. And so I just want to make sure they have the tools that they need and that they want. And then do I need to educate them on how to use specific tools? We talked about that today, especially with the toolkits and just kind of our vision for this upcoming 3-year plan of what that could potentially look like. And I'm super excited about that because we've got some great plans in the works. And so again, I just want to make sure that they have the tools that they need to be successful.
Absolutely. And we take for granted. So there's so many things that go into being a chapter.
Yeah.
They really have to know how to run a mini business because that's how they are. They have to know how to market and they have to know how to recruit. And then, at the end of the day, there's a whole database that they manage.
Right.
And so there are so many aspects that truly go into this. And, we've tried to re-engage, keep our board members engaged because our program coordinators can't do the work alone. And so we rely on those community members who have expertise in fields that maybe the program coordinator doesn't.
Right. And it's fascinating to see how each of our national office teams, like those program coordinators, need each one of our teams. Like they need Angie and the outreach specialist to do the training and teach them. And Tori Pedersen does such a phenomenal job at all of those recruitments and strengths certified, which you are too. And same with Tiffany and Trisha. Yes. Our Gallup strengths certified. We're a strengths-based organization. And we had Tori Pedersen on like in our first month, and she talked a lot about strengths, and I always enjoy listening to her and everything that she talks about that. But just the importance of how each of our own teams at the national office plays in to each of those program coordinator roles.
Absolutely. And speaking to strengths, we've seen this amazing shift. So Tori gets to work with internal staff so around strengths. And through that work, we're also seeing the impact at the chapter level. And so our regional coordinators, because they get to work with Tori around strengths, are now getting to engage with their chapters through a strength-based lens. And it's been really fun to see too. And we always have more room to grow in that area, but it's really fun that we can bring strengths to our chapters.
Right. Let's dive into a little bit about the upcoming school year. So 2025, 2026, we are up to 187 chapters, which is exciting. Why don't you break down for us the number of chapters in each of those states? And that'll kind of give our listeners a point of view of, the extent of like where TeamMates is, where are we going? And we already kind of dabbled into how to become a chapter. And there is a process. We don't just let anybody become a chapter. Like there's processes and protocols set in place. So why don't you dive into a little bit about the chapters?
Yeah. So we'll start with Nebraska because our footprint is the largest here. 139 chapters, which is incredible, and that speaks to just the work, 34 years, the rich culture around the founders, Coach and Nancy. And it's been really fun to see. And we've actually had new chapters start in Nebraska too. So that's incredible. Wyoming, we have three solid, so Jen Hampton is actually dual rolling. She has Western Nebraska and Wyoming. And then we have Iowa. So 25 as the former Iowa regional coordinator. I'm an Iowan. I have a special place in my heart for them. But Renee does a great job. She's such a strong leader in Iowa, and we have really healthy, strong chapters. South Dakota, 8 and growing. We actually just had another RFP submitted this week for South Dakota. So more to come there. Christina does a phenomenal job. And we also have Jess Karam in South Dakota as the director, and there is a state board there. So their structure is a little bit different. And then Kansas. So John Fow, Ashton's talked about him a lot tonight. So John is leading with 11. And we brought in Missouri this year. So Rockport, Missouri, shout out to you guys. It's been really fun to explore that. And we talked a little bit about the legal side. So Vicki Howick, our director of operations, she's having to navigate all of these slight differences across each state. So you think about that. That's an undertaking. We joke with her all the time. She might as well just go back to law school. So Vicki, if you're listening, it's time. But she does a phenomenal job because that takes time and energy to dig into that too of, okay, what does this state need? And it's different than the next state.
And DeMo and I talk about, like, sometimes we get the question, why are you only in the Midwest? And, we've had opportunities we've been asked to be in California, in Texas, but one of the statistics that our Teammates Foundation president, Suzanne Osborne Hintz, always kind of reminds us about is Midwestern folk, they have the highest levels of volunteerism, giving back, just kind of like those strong Midwestern values. So for those of you listening, you're like, well, all of those states are literally surrounding Nebraska. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a reason that we are exactly where we are. And that's exactly where we're supposed to be right now, too.
It is. And, there are opportunities everywhere. But at the end of the day, we've had a discussion as a staff with our new strategic plan that let's grow deeper.
Right.
Let's grow our current chapters. Let's get them really healthy.
Right.
And make sure that we're serving as many students as possible in our current Teammates footprint. And, we can only do so much work.
Right. And unfortunately, we do have circumstances where we've had to close chapters too. But again, we're focusing on the positive and all the 3-4 that we just added this year. So we're wrapping up segment 2. Don't go away. We've got one more segment to go. I'm here with Teammates Regional Manager Ashley Denton. You're listening to Teammates Timeout with DeMo and Ash on 93.7 The Ticket.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
Safety is always at the top of mind at Lincoln Electric System. The safety of our employees and the safety of our customers. It's National Safety Month. Visit les.com/safety for tips on all things related to electrical safety.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
Country music star Rodney Atkins will be performing at the Icebox on Friday, June 20th. Tickets start at $30 and doors open at 7 p.m. The capacity is only 3,000, so don't wait. Buy your tickets at lincolnstars.com today before it sells out.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Load up on meat and more this summer at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's specials through June 10th are $1 off per pack of Plum Creek chicken, $1 off all bacon, and 15% off cheese and crackers. Plus, stop by for lunch on Fired Up Thursday at the Mercado East or Fired Up Friday at the Mercado North. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Attention all Wings fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays, enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Are kids better off in an intact family? You bet they are. This is Joe Cordell of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. Kids living in a household with married parents do better in school, they're emotionally healthier, and they're more likely to stay out of trouble with the law. If you're in a troubled marriage, of course you should do everything you can to save your marriage, if only for your kids' sake. This includes considering alternatives to divorce. Of course, in some circumstances, divorce is unavoidable. In either case, if you're a man facing a crisis in your marriage, let us help you at Cordell & Cordell. Remember, we're the partner men can count on.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln, Cordell & Cordell, 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska, 68508.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Back to Teammates Timeout with DeMo and Ash on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Teammates Timeout with DeMo and Ash on 93.7 The Ticket. I am joined today by our Teammates Regional Manager, Ashley Denton. Today we've been talking about the Teammates regional structure. DeMo and I have never really talked about that, so it's been great having you on today to educate the viewers and the listeners what exactly that entails across our 6 states and how are we making those touch points and educating those. So I'm going to ask you one of the questions that I always like to ask our guests, and then we'll end it asking the question that DeMo always asks our guests. So my question for you, what is one piece of advice that one of your mentors has given you that has made a profound impact on your life? And then kind of the second part to that question is, how do you plan to carry on that legacy?
This is so hard. I have been blessed in my life with lots of mentors, from family to professors. I'm going to speak to one in undergrad. One of my favorite professors, Dr. Mike Roach. He was brilliant and really challenging, and he talked about perspective. He would always bring this metaphor of a lantern into class, and he'd talk about it, that as humans, we have to continue to step around the lantern and learn other perspectives.
Oh, I love that.
It was so powerful. And I still think about that. And coming from a very small town, you only know what you know.
Right.
And so when you have somebody who believes in that enough to show you that there is a big world out there, and you do have to understand that what you're used to may not be the only perspective that exists.
Right.
So for me, I think it's always reminding myself to take a step back and think about, okay, what are the other aspects of whatever's happening?
Right.
Who is this impacting? How does this help, hinder, whatever the case? And so that lantern metaphor has been so powerful in my life that, just continue to walk around the lantern and gain perspective.
And I like how you apply that to all aspects of your life. You are a wife, you are a mom, you are a daughter, you are an aunt, you're a sister, and you're a manager, you manage a bunch of people. So I love that perspective and how you apply it to all different facets of your life. Okay, this next question, DeMo's question that I always ask. If you played football for Nebraska, let's say, what position would you play and why?
Well, I don't know if I can say this out loud, but I would probably not play for Nebraska. I'm so sorry.
She is, yes. I'm asking a Hawkeye fan, a Hawkeye fan.
This is an interesting question. I'm raising boys at home,
yeah,
and I did not have a brother, and so I would say with hesitation, quarterback.
Okay.
A little bit because I'd love to control the game.
Right.
My boys would be mortified that I would say that because they had to teach me how to throw a football. So
Yeah.
as a mom of boys, we've played catch a lot.
Yeah.
So I do think that would be an interesting position on the football field,
Yeah.
simply for that reason, that how do I control the game and control the narrative?
Okay, we do have time for one more question. Yeah, Austin? Okay. Ash, what call to action message would you give listeners and watchers right now who are on the fence about becoming a Teammates mentor?
Try it.
Try it.
That's the thing, that you don't know how much it's going to impact you as a human
Mhm.
until you just jump in with
Mhm.
both feet and do it. These students that we have the opportunity to mentor will change your life in
Yeah.
the best way possible. And you have the opportunity to create hope in a young person.
Mhm.
That is a gift.
Right.
And so really think about it from that perspective, that you are being given a gift, an opportunity to serve a student
Right.
through mentoring.
I love that. And to do so, people are going to go to teammates.org. They're going to click the button that says become a mentor. And DeMo and I always plug, if now's not the time for you to become a mentor, but you have the resources to donate, click the button, become a mentor, or to donate. Austin, next week y'all are at the College World Series, so you will not be here with Teammates Timeout with DeMo and Ash, but DeMo and I will be back the following week. But Ash and Ash, the A-team, Ash, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
I adore you, and you do rock star things for our team. So again, thank you. You're listening to Teammates Timeout with DeMo and Ash on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with the child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Load up on meat and more this summer at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's specials through June 10th are $1 off per pack of Plum Creek chicken, $1 off all bacon, and 15% off cheese and crackers. Plus, stop by for lunch on Fired Up Thursday at the Mercado East or Fired Up Friday at the Mercado North. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney and Lincoln, or 168th and Maple and Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with the fast